A pleasant day to everyone. I am Rosario Lopez, and together with Ms. Junessa Sabado and Ms. Josephine Vera, we will present to you today our research entitled Faculty's Perception Towards Intention to Use Educational Apps. The emergence of technology made a significant change in our lives and contributed to the betterment of society. Also, it has always been a part in the advancement in the academe. As time passes by and as countries progress, academic institutions integrated technology in education to better attend to the needs of students. The academe continues the aims for the improvement in education. With this, they seek on new ways to enhance the learning of students and incorporated different learning tools like mobile educational apps in their subject or courses. The purpose of this study is to determine the college professors' perception towards their intention to use the educational apps in teaching tourism and hospitality management courses in the LaSalle University, Dasmariñas. Part of the development of a country is the usage and acceptance of technology. According to Shuja et al. In 2019, Pakistan is a developing country that progressively uses technology, specifically mobile phones, to acquire knowledge. According to Pakistan Telecommunications Authority, in April 2017, 40.56 million customers utilize the Internet mainly for communication and learning purposes, and the number is estimated to increase along the years. This suggests that Pakistan used mobile technology primarily to enhance learning or to seek information. In the Philippines, we already integrated technology in our education by using mobile educational apps or gamification to extend the learning of the students outside the classroom. According to the study, Student Engagement in a Gamified Physics course by Amado in 2019, gamification is also integrated to courses to address the issues on poor engagement of students to the subject matter. This study aims to determine the college professors' behavioral intention to use educational apps in teaching tourism and hospitality courses. The researcher seeks the usefulness of educational apps as a teaching tool in the said course. Although there are various studies on adoption of ICTs for teaching, limited studies are available concerning an usage intention of educational apps in teaching among educators in tourism and hospitality industry. The objective of this study is to identify the perception of tourism and hospitality management professors towards educational apps in terms of usefulness and ease of use. This research study applies technology acceptance model in professors to discuss their intention to use the educational apps concerning tourism and hospitality as their teaching material. This study is limited to College of Tourism and Hospitality Management faculty of De La Salle University, Dasmariñas, who incorporated educational apps in teaching tourism and hospitality courses in all year levels. Due to the limited number of the population, only few samples are gathered from the population. This study will be beneficial to the academic aspect in tourism and hospitality industry, for it provides new approaches in teaching and learning. It also helps the academe or professors to understand the integration of educational apps as a teaching material and gives them the opportunity to discover more and new learning tools. The study will also be beneficial to the future researchers since this study will act as a basis for their studies. Moving on to related literature, according to Sharma in 2019, digital technologies such as mobile apps made the information accessible and improves the education system. The study explains that using educational apps enhances the students' general knowledge and educators can provide the latest information. Christensen in 2019 stated that integration of technology helps the students to be more engaged in learning. However, according to Norman in 2016, the integration of technology in education can be a distraction to students. But he also stated that technology is beneficial if it is integrated properly, and it will be useful in terms of accessibility to distance learning. Hastings in 2019 also stated that apps are helpful in managing classroom flexibility and optimizing their students. In addition to that, Chisango et al. In 2019 stated that teachers had a positive viewpoint towards the use of technologies and are equipped to accept ICTs in teaching and learning. According to the article of Smart Public Affairs in 2016, Philippines is one of the competitive developing countries in Asia and has a future when it comes to technology. In the same article, the country's stakeholders also stated that digital learning must be integrated with traditional education to further enhance the learning of the students. However, according to the article EdTech, how is it how is technology changing in the Philippines in 2019? Government still strives to improve the educational system in the Philippines by shifting to digital transformation despite of the challenges in providing the students an accessibility to e-learning environment. According to Pinarok in 2020, Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technology Research and Development Executive Director stated that utilization of digital technologies in education could provide difference in education system. In addition to that, Nueva in 2019 stated that Filipino teachers has a positive attitude towards technology while perceived ease of use toward the technology influence teachers to integrate technology in the practice. Mercillo and Domingo in 2019 also added that teachers accept the ICT integration improves teaching and learning and is beneficial to students.
To do our research objectives, the finalized version of Technology Acceptance Model, or TAM, by Davis and Venkatesh in 1996, and one of the influential technology acceptance research models in explaining users' behavior toward the technology based on the positive attitude towards the two key elements, namely perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use, is being used in this study. Davies elucidate perceived ease of use as a condition of which a person believes that a certain system would be effortless. In contrast, perceived usefulness expounded as the extent belief of a person that the technology helps him or her to perform a better job. Davis theorized that perceived usefulness is governed by perceived ease of use. Therefore, the TAM claims that an application perceived effortless to use and helpful in his or her job performance is possibly to be accepted by the users.
For the methodology, quantitative research method was used to collect and analyze numerical data gathered from the respondents. Furthermore, a descriptive evaluative research design was utilized to accurately define the usage intention of the college professors in using educational apps in teaching tourism and hospitality courses by evaluating the integration of educational apps as an instructional tool among the respondents. Using purposive sampling method, the data was collected from the College of Tourism and Hospitality Management or CTHM professors of De La Salle University Dasmariñas, which composed of 28 professors. The respondents must meet the following criteria. First, he or she must be currently teaching tourism and hospitality management courses in the university. And second, he or she uses educational apps as instructional tool for teaching tourism and hospitality management courses. We were able to acquire the responses from 19 out of 28 faculty members after a month of data collection. Two of the respondents refuses to take part, while the other three claim that they are non-users of educational apps. Therefore, 14 responses from the participants are usable for the study. An online distribution of evaluation form called Educational App Evaluation Form or EAEF occurred in gathering the primary information and research data from the respondents. It is an adapted questionnaire in the form of Likert scale question in which the respondents scaled the statements from 1 to 4. where 1 is classified as strongly disagree to 4 as strongly agree. The evaluation form was distributed to the respondents via their email addresses. With the help of a statistician, we were able to properly obtain reliable and precise interpretation of information gathered. Findings were supported and or compared with the related literatures. Statistical package for social sciences or SPSS and Microsoft Excel are the software used as statistical treatment in analyzing and evaluating the data. Pearson correlation is being used in the study to know the degree of relationship between the given variables. In this study, the relationship between perceived ease of use and behavioral intention to use, perceived usefulness and behavioral intention to use, and perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness are being tested. For the findings, this table shows that there's a high significant relationship between perceived usefulness and behavioral intention to use educational apps. It further implies that as the respondents' perception on the usefulness of educational apps increases, their behavioral intention to use apps tends to increase as well. It's similar with the study of Antonio et al. In 2017, in which teachers' behavioral intention to use educational video games in their courses was positively affected by their perceived usefulness. While this table shows that there is no significant relationship between the respondents' perceived ease of use and behavioral intention to use educational apps. This implies that the respondents' perception on the apps in terms of ease of use is not relevant with their behavioral intention to use the educational apps. In contrast with the STEM teacher's perspective, in which perceived ease of use was the most crucial factor to their intention to use mobile-based assessments, as stated by Nico and Economides in 2018. On this table, it shows that there's a significant relationship between the faculty's perceived ease of use and perceived usefulness to use the educational apps. It further implies that as the respondents' perception on the app's ease of use increases, their perceived usefulness on the apps tends to increase as well. Meanwhile, Walker et al. In 2018 found out that in their study that perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use towards the usage of mobile technology in classroom has a high significant relationship.
For the conclusion, our study found out that there is highly significant relationship between perceived usefulness and behavioral intention to use. This concludes us that the faculty members' perception and the usefulness of educational apps is very important to their intention to use it as an instructional material. However, their perception on the ease of use of educational apps is not important for them to intentionally use it as a teaching tool. Moreover, there is a significant relationship between perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. Therefore, the researchers conclude that the educators perceive educational apps as easy to use when it is useful for the subject matter. This implies to higher education institutions to consider the usefulness of educational apps for the teachers to use as another instructional tool for their students. Since the continuous emergence of technology gives the academe an opportunity to innovate various ways of effective teaching and develop teaching materials that best suit the students' needs. Moreover, educational apps are beneficial for teachers for them to obtain the engagement of the students in class. Engagement is a huge part of the learning process of students, and various modes of learning, like using educational apps, can be useful in retaining and simplifying the information that the students have to learn. Furthermore, the researchers recommend to the future researchers to replicate the study with a larger sample size, since the sample size in this study could not further generalize the result. Lastly, it is also recommended to consider other factors such as social influence, content, and etc. to further understand the factors that contribute to the educator's perception towards their intention to use educational apps as their teaching material integrated to subjects related to tourism and hospitality management. Here's the references for the 10 review of related literatures presented to you earlier. And before we end our presentation, we would like to thank the individuals who supported us in this study. To our thesis advisor and co-author, Mr. Deogracias Esplanada, and our research professor, Mr. Jim Portabuyo, your expertise and guidance help us a lot to realize our goals. We are grateful to our dear respondents who took valuable time to take part in the study. Lastly, to our family and friends who morally supported us throughout the process, thank you. If you are interested to see our full paper, it is published in the International Journal of Novelty Research in Education and Learning, available at www.noveltyjournals.com. Thank you and keep safe.